Good morning. I wonder whether over the last few days you've had a sense of excitement because there's been a slight easing of the lockdown restrictions. So you'll be able to have a bit more exercise or go out and play golf or whatever, and also maybe see another person in their garden. These are some tentative steps towards heading towards normality. But has that caused a little bit of excitement maybe? Well, today's Pentecost Sunday, and for the early Christians, Pentecost Sunday was an amazing event, and the after effects of it were pretty amazing. What happened? Well, Pentecost Sunday was the day in which God sent his promised Holy Spirit, and all who believed could be filled with his power and his love. I'm going to read a few words from that well-known passage from Acts chapter 2. When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. And suddenly, a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit enabled them. Now there were staying in Jerusalem God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this sound, a crowd came together in bewilderment because each one heard them speaking in his own language. Utterly amazed, they asked, "Are not all these men who are speaking Galileans? How is it then that they can understand each of us in our own language?" Amazed and perplexed, they asked one another, "What does this mean?" Some, however, made fun of them and said, "They have had too much wine." And then Peter goes on to explain that actually this has all been foretold by the prophet Joel. Peter stood up, raised his voice and addressed the crowd. "Fellow Jews and all of you who live in Jerusalem, let me explain this to you. Listen carefully to what I say. These men are not drunk, as you suppose. It's only 9 a.m. No, this is what was spoken by the prophet Joel. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in these days, and they will prophesy. I will show wonders in the heaven above and signs on the earth below, and everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." What God was doing on that momentous occasion was showing everyone of his power and his strength. The disciples and believers had witnessed Jesus dying on the cross and then being brought back to life. But now they can see God's amazing power being given to each and every one of them. We're told elsewhere in the Bible that the Holy Spirit is an encourager, a helper, a guide, a comforter, someone who enables believers to carry out God's will. So to help us in our discipleship, as we've been looking at over the last few weeks, helping us as we follow Jesus, we are given the Holy Spirit to enable that to happen. In that prophecy of Joel, we're told that people will have dreams and visions. Well, the Holy Spirit helps us to do that. Helps us to dream dreams and have visions of the future. How do we reimagine the future at the end of coronavirus? What does it mean for our churches? What does it mean for when we come back here to worship? Will the church be the same or will it be different? How can we reimagine our calling to fulfill what Jesus wants us to do? How will things be different? How will things be the same? We need to be guided by God's Holy Spirit to enable us to have those visions and to have those dreams. As I said, today is Pentecost Sunday, and if you have access to the internet, look at the Church of Scotland website. And at 10 o'clock today, there will be a live stream service led by the moderator, Right Reverend Martin Fair. So please do see if you can take part in that if you can, and join with other believers throughout the Church of Scotland on this Pentecost Sunday. Also, a reminder, as usual, that if you are able at 7 o'clock this evening to join together in prayer with all of our brothers and sisters in all of the churches throughout Scotland. So until next Sunday, enjoy the sun, be safe, and take care. God bless.